And welcome to another episode of the Journal. If this week is your first time here, it's a short weekly reflection where I share what's been happening behind the scenes of the You Alright Mate mission, the lessons I'm learning, challenges I'm facing, and hopefully something that might resonate with you too. This week has been inspired by reflections from my monthly coaching session with Joel, for which I'm eternally grateful. There was one phrase that really stuck with me. He said to me, "You're not stuck, mate. You're just in the messy middle." I don't know about you, but sometimes those two things can feel exactly the same. When you're waiting for answers, when you're not quite where you want to be, when things feel uncertain, when progress feels a little bit slower than you'd hoped, it's easy to convince yourself that you're stuck. But maybe you're not. Maybe you're just in the middle of the story. We spent a lot of time talking about football, which probably sounds a little bit strange, but the more we spoke, the more I realised football wasn't really football. It was about connection. It was belonging. It was purpose. A couple of weeks ago at a Furnballs charity tournament, I challenged 160 players to check in on someone. Just send a message and ask that question. You all right, mate? A few days later, someone told me they'd reached out to a friend they hadn't spoken to in 4 years. 4 years. It reminded me that sometimes we never really know the impact we're having. A single message, a simple question, a small action can create a ripple far bigger than we ever imagined. I guess that's what this mission has always been about. Not changing the world overnight, just creating enough ripples that eventually the tide begins to turn. Something else came up during our conversation. Fear. Not fear of failure, but fear of success, which is something I touched on in a recent podcast episode with Hema Patel. I spent most of my life worrying about things not working out. But what if the thing holding us back isn't failure? What if it's the responsibility that comes with success? The visibility, the expectation, the possibility that things might actually work out. This year, I've had conversations with people who believe in this mission, people willing to invest time, energy, and resources into helping it grow. If I'm honest, part of me has felt that a little bit uncomfortable because accepting help means admitting the dream might be bigger than just me. Maybe some of you can relate to that, I don't know. But another thing we spoke about was asking for help. It's funny, really, because the entire You Alright Make movement is built around connection, built around reaching out, built around checking in on people. Yet sometimes I still find it difficult to ask for help myself. Maybe because asking for help can feel vulnerable. Maybe because somewhere deep down we think we should be able to do it all alone. But look, I've repeated this many times. None of us were designed to do life alone. Every meaningful thing I've ever achieved has happened because of other people who believed in me, supported me, or just opened a door. Maybe strength isn't carrying everything yourself. Maybe strength is knowing when to invite others to carry some of the load. One thing Joel reminded me of this week is that context matters. Last year has probably been one of the toughest years of my life. Gone through separation, moving house, financial uncertainty, running businesses, building a mission, trying to create change. Sometimes I forget to acknowledge that. Sometimes we are so focused on the next milestone that we fail to appreciate how far we've already come. So perhaps this is a reminder to you too. Give yourself a little bit of credit. You've probably survived things this year that nobody else even knows about. But you're still here. So you know what? Keep going. And finally, we spoke about the boring bit of life, the boring bit of work. Remember after my knee operation, the hours of rehab. No, in businesses, those follow-up emails or the unanswered messages, the admin, the things nobody applauds, things nobody posts about on social media, stuff that feels slow and frustrating. But if football has taught me anything, it's that nobody sees the hours of training. Only see the match day. Nobody sees the recovery sessions after injury. Only see the goal. Boring stuff is often what gets us back on the pitch. 2 years ago, I started my road to recovery, and those small incremental gains. Now I'm back on the football pitch. And right now, maybe that's where I am with a mission. Not at the finish line, not a kick-off. Just doing the work in the messy middle. Trusting that one day I'll look back and realise this was all part of the story. So this week, I want to leave you with one action. Think of a mate or a contact that might be going through some challenges. Someone that is, I guess, in the messy middle, a bit like where I am. I want you to tell them that you see them, that you know it might be tough right now, but remind them, as Joel did for me this week, just how far they've come. Because listen, life is short. Connection matters. And sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest ripples. Until next week, take care of yourselves and each other. And you all right, mate?